Do you have an old M95 Dutch rifle or carbine and you can't seem to find ammo to shoot? I'm going to show you how to turn 303 British cartridges into 6.5 by 53 R Dutch ammunition. Stick around. Hello and welcome back. I'm going to show you how to make 6.5 by 53 R ammunition out of 303 brass. So how is that done? Well, to start, we're going to use 303 dies and resize any cases that you have back into 303 shape. We're going to lube it. I like using, this is kiwi oil, works really well, it's cheap. Run it up your die. And there's step one. The next step is to run this up a 308 die. What this is going to do is it's going to make the neck a little bit smaller and bring it down from a 311 diameter to a 308 diameter. Make sure your case is lubed, especially up on the neck, and we're going to run it through. Just that easy, just like any other piece of brass. Now when it comes out, you're going to see that the neck is extended and the shoulder's been pushed back. What I like to do is I like to move it around twice just to make sure that everything is pretty much uniform. And that's step two. Okay, what I like to do next is anneal the cases because we are working that brass on the neck area quite a bit and we're going to actually be making it smaller. So I'm annealing the cases to soften the brass up. Each time it goes up into the die, it's called work hardening, and it makes the brass harder, which could make it brittle. And so what this does is it makes it soft again and pliable so we can work with it a little bit more and have less of an issue. We're going to do this a couple times. Once now, because we're going to make the neck smaller, and one other time towards the end just to make sure it's soft in the end. Okay, time for step three. So here's the annealed cases. You can see there's a little bit of color on the neck. You're not looking for doing too much. You don't want to burn the brass. You just want to soften it up. So the next step is we're going to take the brass, we're going to add some more lube to it, and this is going to be put up through a 7 by 57 millimeter Mauser. So it's a 7 millimeter by 57 Mauser die. Put it up in here. Now at this point what it's done is it's squeezed that neck down to 7 millimeter. It does have a little ridge here, but don't worry about that. That's also going to come out. Alright, what we're going to do now is we're going to trim the case down. As you can see on this side, well, it's tough to see on the camera, but there is quite a bit that we need to remove. You could either chop that off if you can, or grind it off if you want to a point to where it's less to grind or cut off. And I'm not going to bore you with actually doing it, but all you need to do is just trim this down until we get to the proper length, which I'll show you in just a sec. Okay, once it's trimmed down, all you need to do is clean the inside and the outside from the brass shavings. And what you want the overall length to be is about 2.09. So I have 2.0915, which is perfect. On to the next step. All right, So we see the two cases here. One is trimmed, the one on the right is trimmed, the one on the left is not. You can see that it's taken quite a bit of material off the top of that neck. So what we're going to do now, after we trim that, is we're going to size this again, and this time we're going to use a 6.5 by 55 Swiss. And you want to make sure that the case and neck and shoulders is lubed very well. We'll run this up in the die. Pull it down. Now let's push that neck back just a little bit. The shoulder is still okay. We still have a little bulge right there, but that's going to go away. Okay, on to the final step. Okay, this last die setup that we're going to use is going to be the 6.5 Carcano. So far we've used 4 different die sets. We've used 303, 308, 7mm by 57, and 6.5 by 55 Swiss. This is the final one, 6.5 Carcano. All we're going to do is put it in, run it up. Now you can see it's a little tight. This does take a lot more lube because we're actually forcing that neck down into its final position. More. Three times. There it is. So from here we're going to put a primer, powder, and a bullet. Before that though, I'm going to anneal these one last time, and I'm actually going to wash them in a wash on a tumbler. Alright, the last thing we need to do is add a primer, powder, and a bullet. So we'll start by adding a primer. Next we're going to add powder. That's 30 grains of IMR 4895 that I'm using. Now this is a 6.5 Carcano setting die. What I did is I took a factory bullet and I set it up here, ran it up, brought the die down to set on top of this. Now all I have to do is add the bullet on top of the case. And there it is. So between the two, you can see they're nearly identical. And that's it. Okay, so the overall length of the cartridge, the factory I have is 3.0435, and the one that we produced is 3.0445. So I say we're right there. So there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please post them down below in the comment section. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again.